Welcome to another episode of Premier Period. This is episode 7. Sunderland shows some heart and chips away at Arsenal's inevitability, but is it enough to make a difference in their lead? Man City seems to think so as they are creeping up. The question is whether or not that'll happen sooner than we think. There's a couple of teams at the bottom of the table taking shape as well. We'll discuss Forest and West Ham and whether or not they're still in the relegation radar. This and so much more on this episode of Premier Period. All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of Premier Period. Guys, thanks for being here. This is episode 7. Thanks so much for joining us. Ridge, how's it going? Have you had a great day, a great weekend? Tell me a little bit about what's going on in your life.
It's been a pretty good weekend. We got a 4-day weekend, sort of. Monday, we had PD today at school. Tomorrow, we have nothing on Veterans Day, our Armistice Day. And
thank you for your service, men and women.
Thank you for all those who have served. Let's see, not much else going on. Had a pretty busy weekend watching Premier League in the mornings, and then a lot of college football in the afternoons. So it was a lot of TV time. I was affected by the Disney decision to take everything off YouTube TV.
Yes.
So I was on the phone with ESPN all weekend, or Disney all weekend, dealing with that. But other than that, USA is, YouTube TV still has USA, so I could watch some Premier League, and then Peacock still doing its thing. So
way to go, NBC.
Yeah. So we're all good. All good. How about you, Daly?
It was a good weekend. Just stayed busy. We were incredibly busy with just family stuff and split in a couple of different directions for my family. So I was able to watch some stuff Saturday morning. Did not get to watch the Liverpool game completely because of I was at church and just also disappointed with again with Liverpool. So, but it was a good weekend and looking forward to getting some relaxation going tomorrow.
How about you, Jake?
Yeah, good weekend watching a little bit of Premier League, trying to catch up on highlights and stuff more than anything. We had birthday party, so all kinds of bouncy house set up and all of that fun stuff, picking up pizza. So, sitting in the drive-thru watching Man City and those kind of things. I did catch some Crystal Palace Brighton, which that happened. That's about all you can say about a 0-0 draw. It was a good game. We won't get into all that today, but we do have some fun stuff to talk about. But maybe you're like us and you need to catch up on some stuff that happened this weekend. So let me give you the quick pitch real quick of everything that happened in Premier League this weekend, and here we go. We're going to start with Tottenham versus Man United. Just a little boom in the first as Mbeumo scores early, but the action kicked into overdrive in the final 15 minutes with 2 goals from Hotspur and a last-minute equalizer from United. An incredible draw 2-2. Then we go Everton versus Fulham. The Toffees look terrific as they take down Fulham 2-0 with one from Gay and one from Keane. Then it's West Ham versus Burnley. The battle of the bottom tier puts West Ham on top of Burnley 3-2 for their second win in a row under Nuno. Sunderland versus Arsenal. Sunderland is for real, and they prove it with an incredible effort against Arsenal. Ballard in the first, 2 back-to-back from Xhaka and Trossard of the Gunners, and then a stunner of an equalizer from Brobby at the death, a 2-2 final, and we'll hit on this in just a minute. Then Chelsea versus Wolves. Chelsea shut out Wolves heavy-handedly, and that's obvious at this point. Gusto, João Pedro, and Neto make it 3-0 for the Blues. Aston Villa versus Bournemouth. Villa beat the doors off of Bournemouth 4-0 with Buendia, Onana, Barkley, and Mallon finding the back of the net. Brentford versus Newcastle. Things are going from bad to worse for Newcastle as they fall 3-1 to Brentford. Barnes scores early for the lads, but one from Shade, and 2 for Thiago give the Bees a 3-1 victory. Palace versus Brighton, no goals for either side, but a valiant effort nonetheless. They draw 0-0. Forest gets their second win from the first week of play, outscoring Leeds 3-1. Man City manhandles Liverpool 3-0 as Haaland, Gonzalez, and Doku do the heavy lifting to solidify their spot as a top-tier contender. And that's the roundup of what happened this weekend. Let's see how things shook out on the table, Ridge.
So for Matchweek 11, the table as it stands is Arsenal still remains in first place with 26 points. Manchester City back in familiar territory up in the top 2. They're in second place with 22 points, still 4 points behind Arsenal, but they are definitely making moves and looking a lot better.
Yep.
Chelsea moves up to some familiar territory to third place with 20 points. Sunderland stays exactly the same with 4 points. And fourth with 19 points. Tottenham Hotspur move up to fifth place with 18 points. Aston Villa's in sixth, looking better, more in form. Manchester United moves up to seventh place, probably the best they've been in a while. If I'm trying to think back, one of the big stories is Liverpool continues to slide down to 18, with 18 points down to eighth place. Bournemouth in ninth place slides down with 18 points. And if you'll notice, there's, five teams all there with 18 points. So that could change. That could shake up the leaderboard after the break. Let's see. Crystal Palace slides down to 10th. Brighton at 11th. Brentford at 12th. Everton moves up to 13th. Newcastle United keeps sliding down to 14th. Fulham stays at 15th. Leeds stays at 16th. Burnley at 17th. And in relegation zone, we have an 18th. West Ham, 19th is Nottingham Forest. Then 20th, we have the Wolverhampton Wanderers, with 2 points in the Premier League.
That's very disappointing.
Rough.
That's real rough.
I think they're going down.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So we're going to talk about a little bit of all of this. I think a great place to start would be Sunderland versus Arsenal. We have obviously talked a lot on this podcast over the past few weeks about the inevitability of Arsenal. I kind of feel it's like kind of been the vibes around what we've talked about is they seem unstoppable. Is anybody going to score against them? I remember last week, me and Connor and Chris were talking about how they were going to tie their I think they did end up tying the record for most consecutive clean sheets. So nobody was scoring on them. It seemed like, it was their league to lose. And even though it's a draw 2-2, there's a lot to dive into in this match, and specifically in Sunderland. To me, it seemed like Sunderland kind of opened up everybody's eyes that Arsenal is not completely unbeatable. They are a team that has some flaws, if you want to call that, or at least some cracks of some flaws are starting to open up. And so that's kind of where I wanted to lead the discussion today. What do you guys think? Did this match versus Arsenal with Sunderland, did Sunderland open up some of the inconsistencies or flaws of Arsenal? And if so, what are they? Anybody got any thoughts?
I think the story is not as much about Arsenal, but about how Sunderland has taken over this league. Well, not taken over, but they're coming through from the championship and just shocking everyone. I haven't really followed them much this year. I mean, obviously the story is amazing, but watching that match, I thought they scored first, and I was like, "Holy crap! Like, what's gonna happen?" And then I walked away, and during the second half, and did something around the house. I can't remember, but they were down 2-1, and I was like, "Well, that's not shocking. Arsenal can do that to you." But just the fact that Sunderland has come up and they are sitting in fourth place right now from the championship is just the story of the league, I think, this year.
Yeah, it seems like what I was doing some research on them, they were not expected to be anywhere near this spot. As they came in, as I was listening to people talk about them and what they're doing right, it seems as though they have some pieces that, with their scouting, I guess is what you want to call it. There's not some household,
maybe. Yeah,
there's not really any household names that I know that as a casual fan to the sport, but it seems like they're able to piece it together really well and make something special happen. As I was watching the match too, one of the things that really stuck out to me about Sunderland was their ability to stay resilient. They never seemed like the game was out of their reach. No matter when it was, they were continuing to fight and fight and fight. They had people stepping up at every moment to make plays happen and to keep themselves in the match as long as they could to eventually, at least tie it back up to give Arsenal their first draw in what seems like a really, really long time. What other takeaways do you guys have from this match of Arsenal versus Sunderland?
I'd love to see I don't know. You either have some super motivated guys and players. I'd love to hear what their pre-match, what their coach is saying, because I don't know, they had like this mentality. It's like us against the world, and like they love kind of being like the underdog, and they've stormed all the way up the table, and they're not just beating, they're not picking on smaller clubs.
Yep.
You know, now they're drawing Arsenal. You know, and if you look at what they've got coming up, they've got more opportunity in front of them. They've got Fulham next, and then Bournemouth. I mean, those two should. I mean, if they continue to play how they are, could be two wins. And if you're looking at that's 6 more points. They go to Liverpool the first week in December, which I know Daly will be watching that game because that's just going to be a big game. I mean, anytime you have to go to Anfield it's a whole different task. So I think playing at Anfield versus taking down Arsenal at home. Yeah, I mean, not taking them down, but drawing Arsenal at home, that's a big deal. But that's not Anfield. You know, that's not Emirates. That's not these larger like spectacles where the moment can get too big to you. But I'm just not sure it can get too big for them. It seems like they've kind of decided like they're gonna weather these storms. And if you look right after part of December and all these festive fixtures they got, and so they go Liverpool, and then they go right back 4 days later to City at City, so at the Etihad. So that's going to be that's a pretty brutal stretch, but they can prove more people wrong. But you know,
talking about it, like I got to research a little bit about started looking up at their players, and like you said, not a lot of them are really household names. But if you follow other leagues, like I got into the Dutch league, the Eredivisie, and you following them, you see some names that have played over there, and they don't. Obviously, the Eredivisie is not the Premier League. You're not gonna usually come from Ajax and go to like Arsenal and be the star player. But you got guys like Geertruida, who is looked at, I think, by Liverpool at one time because he actually posted a picture on Instagram last season at Anfield in the stadium, like as a fan. And so I mean that could have been because he played under Slot at Feyenoord, but you also have guys like Granit Xhaka who's played all over. I mean he's played for Arsenal. I mean you got Traore, you got Brian Broby. I mean he played for Ajax too, and I mean you got guys that have European experience. They're not just coming from the Eredivisie and like your lower level clubs over there. They've got experience playing in the European competition. So it doesn't really shock me that those guys are coming in or having Arsenal come into their house and them tying, them drawing with them. So I don't think that a big name club like Arsenal strikes fear into them like, a Burnley would be, having, playing other European clubs that, the Real Madrids and your Juventus and stuff like that, they've played those guys. So it's almost like another day of the week for them, just at their house, Stadium of Light.
Some things they got to keep. So I was looking at how can Sunderland continue to get better, because it seems like they're doing most everything well. But if something that caught my eye against Arsenal, they had possession 35% of the time. 35% to 65% possession. It's usually somewhere, 55.
And Arsenal want that. They want
45. It's usually within a few points, but 35% possession, that's going to bite them. They've got to find ways to contain and maintain possession, especially against these bigger clubs. When they go to Liverpool and they have a 35% possession, it could be ugly. It could be giving up 3 goals, because especially teams with higher firepower. Like against Tottenham, that's probably not going to hurt them too much, because there's just not a whole lot there for. There's not a whole lot of attacking power for Tottenham right now, and we're seeing that. So
might not hurt them against Liverpool either.
It could not hurt them against Liverpool, but against Man City, if they possess the ball 35% against time at the Etihad against Man City, it could be 4-0. I mean, it could be, because of just, as we'll talk about later, how they're kind of shaping up, and they're getting more contribution from guys besides Haaland. But just Haaland himself. I mean, if you let Haaland's side have the ball that much time,
they're going to get it to him.
Right.
And then
there's going to be goals. Trouble. There's going to be goals scored.
Yeah, you were talking about the possession. That was one of the things that stuck out to me. And then you look at some of the stats just from this match specifically against Arsenal. By all accounts on the stat sheet, you look down, and Arsenal led in every single stat in that match, whether it was big chances that were created, expected goals. There's only one or two categories where Sunderland was leading, and it was by a small margin. So I think the key with what I took away, I'm a stories guy, and I can look at the stats, and the stats can talk to me, and I can say, okay, I see this, I see that. That helps build the story in my mind. And what I see when I see these stats is resilience. You've got to continually chip away at Arsenal, even if you're not winning on the stat sheet. You've got to find a way to chip away at them. And kind of like you guys are talking about, I think the no-nonsense mentality of Sunderland of we're not scared of anybody. We've been here before. Even if you are outmanned and outnumbered in every single category, you've got to come at it with that mentality. And so hats off to them for just playing a lights-out match against a team that, by all stretches of the imagination should be a better team than them, but proving that they are a beatable team. Some more stuff on stats that I was going to talk about is, if you want to look at it from a statistical standpoint, Sunderland leads in almost every, or not leads, but is in top 3 in almost every category for teams this year. They're only 0.6 goals per match behind Chelsea at number 3. So they're sitting like number 3 in just about every category. So average possession, they're 3rd in the league. Clean sheets, they're 3rd in the league. Only 1 behind Chelsea. And so in every category, they're one of those teams that you don't really think about. I guess maybe because in our minds, they're not one of the big clubs that we normally, think about as top dogs, but they're proving that they have some kind of staying power. What else? You guys have any other thoughts on Sunderland?
I think their strong suit is their defense. Their back line is holding together. I mean, and their keeper, what is it, Roofs?
Roofs, yeah.
He's done incredible, but
Roofs. Yeah.
So I think that's what they're relying on right now. They have the defensive mindset of if we just hold the other club from scoring, if we can get one in the back of the net, then we can hold on to that. Let's just park the bus then and hold on to this game.
Yeah, there was like 6 shots I think they took. And
Dan
scored
Ballard
twice.
is a dog.
I did want to talk about him. I mean, watching that match, it's not a name that I was super familiar with before. Maybe somebody's mentioned him before. I don't know if he's on somebody. I can't remember whose fantasy team he's on, but he played the game of his life.
Yeah.
I mean, on both ends, you watch him score, and then he makes an incredible block toward the end of the match that should have shut the door for Arsenal. And he's the hero of the match in my opinion.
Absolutely.
He's up for Player of the Week for Matchweek 11. So
I mean, he
could get your vote for sure.
Yeah, he should. He played lights out, and if he continues to, like you guys are saying, kind of hold that defense down in the center back position, maintain that consistency there, it's going to move forward into their possession. And I think they're starting to put some pieces together. You look on their stat sheet as well, as far as like scoring and things like that. They're kind of sharing the love a little bit. You've got Isidore, who's got 4 for them as their top scorer, but Ballard's got 2, and then Brobby's got 1. And then that obviously means that there's other people that are scoring for them, and because they've scored more than probably 7 goals this year. So they are kind of sneaky in that way. It's kind of the opposite of the team that we're about to talk about, or so we thought, I guess you would say. We can kind of talk about that in a minute. Of Holland seems to be the central piece of Man City, but there are other contributions being made, which seems like a great segue. Let's talk about Man City versus...
Do we have to?
Yeah, we have to.
We have to.
So, Man City versus Arsenal, or not Arsenal, Man City versus Liverpool, excuse me.
It's Pep's 1,000th game.
It was, wasn't it?
Game.
Did you guys have any thoughts before we kind of dive in? Come on, Daly, give us some thoughts.
off.
I did not feel confident, even though this past week, they had 2 wins coming into this game. So beating Villa was promising, but then when they beat Madrid 1-0, I was like, all right, maybe we have something to build off of. Maybe this team is they are gelling. Maybe they're figuring out how to to play together. But then you come back from Wednesday's lineup to Sunday's lineup, and it's different. You have Gakpo on the bench.
Yeah. I'll tell you, so a little side story. We play fantasy all together, fantasy soccer, football. And so I noticed, like, I checked my lineup on Thursday night before bed. Well, sorry, Friday night before bed. I just look at it because I just want to see, because, you know, they got the early games. You want to see real quick if they're going to make any, who's playing early. So I can, like, set an alarm so I can get up and look and make sure they're playing. But it wasn't Liverpool this time, so I was like, okay, good. But then I looked and, like, you know, outside they have, like, their projected points. And so that tells you sometimes, like, the story. You know, we all know that sometimes that's very high overestimation. But anyway, I checked, and Gakpo had a little dash next to him, which is what they'll put next to guys who they're just not sure, or they're not playing, or they're probably going to be on the reserve. So I texted Daly because, you know, Daly knows a lot more about Liverpool than I do. He gets stuff on X and all that kind of stuff. And I was just like, hey, is there any reason Gakpo wouldn't start? And I couldn't think of anything, and he couldn't either. So I was like, all right, I'll keep him in. And, of course, they're the last game of the week. So I left him. And yes, that's kind of always a risky play. And then Gakpo wasn't starting. And he didn't come on until the 60-something minute.
Yeah. And I get why he started both the last two games, and Verts did not start. So I see the rotation happening, and Slot has admitted that last year that he did not rotate enough, and I think that's what he's trying to prevent this year. And that might be some of the issues why we're not getting continuity with Liverpool, is that the lineup has been changing. But one thing that I do think that Slot did well was he kept Szoboszlai right in the 10, and you can't right now. I don't think you can take Szoboszlai off the field because he is just playing lights out. And if you were going to put Verts in, you'd have to put him in that like natural 10 position, I think. And Slot was thinking, hey, I don't think I can do that right now. So he gave Gakpo off the beginning of the game and put Verts on the left. But I don't know. That was tricky for me because I thought he'd come back in with the same lineup that he just beat Madrid with.
Had such a good week with.
Yeah. But I mean, again, it's rotational, and you gotta keep some guys. It's a long season. I mean,
we're not in the locker room. We don't know what's going on with these guys as far as tweaks. You know, something they may not have felt right before the game, which seems like it may have been in training a few days prior.
Yeah,
but I don't know. So I guess. So I wanted to ask Daly, despite all this like struggle and what they look like, what are some bright spots for Liverpool? So all this is going down. Obviously, we know this is not the season you want. But what are bright spots so far for Liverpool? You know, for what you're watching, because there's stuff to cling to and there's hope to gain.
Yep.
Like Szoboszlai, I mean, he's playing great.
Yeah, Szoboszlai is obviously your brightest spark in this club right now. I think he can fire up this team with some plays that he makes. But one that has stood out to me lately is Connor Bradley. And the reason they did not really go out and get another stereotypical right back was because of Connor Bradley. At the end of last season, they gave him an extension, and they're essentially saying, you are our future right back, which he started off the season, he was injured. And then he comes back, he's not fully fit, he's not playing well. But now he's starting to find his form. And, man, I don't know what it is about when he plays Madrid, but, like, last year he shut Mbappe down. And there's one moment where he tackles and he just takes him out, and it's fantastic. And he did it again this week against Madrid, and he's really stepping into form. I think he's finally completely healthy. But those two guys right there are the bright spots. And
despite Becker being out, I mean, I know they gave up 3 goals, but
Mamadashvili
you got to like what he's doing.
Has been great. And again, like I said before when I was last on the pod, the defense is porous. Konate, his chance to stop that corner that Haaland put the first goal in was very poor. He just got outmanned. I don't think he marked him very well. He had space between him and Haaland. So, I mean, if you go back and look at the video, he even has enough room to kick his leg behind him. And Konate has not been up to form. He's still getting called up to France for international duty, which I don't know how that's happening because there's got to be some better center backs for them. But that's one thing that they're talking about right now is in the January window they have got to get somebody on center back. If they have Joe Gomez, which they have not been rotating him in hardly at all except for like cleanup minutes at the end of some matches. But Konate has not been up to form this season, and I still have hope because it's still pretty early. I mean, 38 games for this season, and we're into week 11. He can still find his form, but right now he is our weak point on Liverpool's back line. And I was happy to see Robertson back in. I think he is, they got a left back this year, Kirkes, and he has not played up to form either. And I think going to Liverpool has been a bit of a shocker to him because he wants to play upfield and he wants to stay on that left side and get into the offensive action. But we've got to have that lockdown left back, and Robertson can do that. But he can also get upfield and get involved in the last third of the field. But I think the problem was last year he's getting up there in age, and he played a lot of minutes. I mean, he's 31, and he played a lot of minutes last year, and we saw him breaking down at the end of the season. And I think that's why they felt like they had to get a left back. And he's 31, so I mean, you put a lot of minutes on those legs, so he is going to break down at that age. But he's come back in. He played very well this past week, I thought. But there's a lot to do on that defensive side for Liverpool.
I mean, looking on the other side of things, I mean, I feel like we've talked about all the heavy hitters of the season so far, and we've talked about Man City, but only in regards to how they revolve around Haaland. And early on, when and I guess it was probably the 29th minute or somewhere around there, when Haaland gets this PK or penalty, right?
Careful now.
Yeah, careful. Don't want to get roasted by the internet. The penalty. And it gets stopped. You think, okay, is this the end of the run for Haaland? He is not this impenetrable force that we think that he is. He can be stopped. And
what would you have bet? I mean, what would you have bet?
Oh, I was fully expecting him to make it. I mean, it just seems absurd for him not to. And so, in some weird way, it's like him missing the PK penalty humbles everyone to the playing field of like, all right, well, if he can mess up, then maybe it's our time to shine. And maybe that's what it took for the lights to come on. Now, a few minutes later, he does score again and redeems himself. But maybe that's the sauce that Man City needs to realize that it's not just the Haaland show. Now, the stats may say differently, but the storyline to me is that, Haaland is going to do Haaland things. But to me, if I'm a player on Man City, that takes the pressure off of me to say, if Haaland does Haaland things, I can just be a guy. I don't have to be the guy. I think about our comparisons that we make to American sports a lot because it's what we've grown up with. And I think about a team like the Los Angeles Dodgers. All right?
That's a tough example. That's a hard example because, if you're about to say.
Go ahead. You go.
Ohtani.
Yes.
He plays for the Angels, though, right?
Not anymore. Dummy. He is the best player it seemed like on the field at any given night.
Yeah.
Okay, but then you take LA's second and third best player, who's probably still then the best player on the field.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And that changes, but you got so much firepower, and that example, that's a great example just because of what all's around him. But I think it's even more so. That's probably more of an example closer to a Real Madrid or something, like a high, which I mean, Man City's high dollar, but I mean, I'm just saying like at the end of the day, if there was an all-star league, an all-star game, how many Dodgers players play in the all-star game?
Right.
I did want to talk about how City has still been bitten by injuries this year. I mean, you've got Shirky just came back, and he's going to be outstanding.
He's already got 2 assists, and
Yeah.
he just came back. Yeah.
But I think the forgotten guy that we haven't talked about this season is Marmouche,
Yeah.
and how he came in last season in January and lit it up for City. And when Holland was injured, it was essentially Marmouche who was really coming in and filling those minutes and putting the ball in the back of the net. But I think you get Marmouche on this field with Holland, and you're going to have some options scoring wise. But you don't have you've had I'm going to butcher his name, Ignore, Ryan, who came from Wolves, that has not really played this season much because he's been injured. But he's going to be a guy that's going to come in and do a lot for him too. But what they have essentially relied on Holland this season to get them through this, which I think he's absolutely taken that role and ran with it. But you get these guys back in, and bold take, I guess this could be it. That Man City's going to take over. I think they're going to win the league again.
That's kind of where I wanted to head with this, is looking at their upcoming matches. I wanted to do a quick, rapid fire discussion about the teams that are at the top of the table and kind of see how this is going to shake out in the next couple of weeks, because not that you can necessarily predict exactly what's going to happen on it's not a one-to-one thing of, oh, they're playing this team, so they're going to lose. But you can make some assumptions, at least. That's what makes good discussion for sports and things like that. And so I wanted to see who they're playing in Premier League. And so we'll take it team by team. We'll start with Man City just because they're the team of discussion right now. So looking at what they've got, so obviously everybody's on break next week, and then the week after. We'll just go through the month of November into December. So I'll do like the next 5 matches for each team. All right.
Who on that list beats them, Jake?
Nobody.
Who on this upcoming list? I know you're about to say it. Go ahead.
Okay, so you've got coming up. You've got Newcastle.
I think Connor would say no. Chris,
Yeah.
I believe they'd say no.
I
City,
think at this
that's a
point you
W.
have to say no.
Yeah.
It's almost an expectation for them to lose than for them to win, just based on their recent history.
It's at Newcastle, so they have that. Who knows? I mean,
Yeah. So that looks like an obvious win for Man City. Then you've got, let's see, they play Leeds after that, which
That should. They might not even start Holland on that game.
right? Yeah, they've got so much. Yeah, they could rest some of their guys,
Then-
especially turn around playing 4 days later.
right. Then you have Fulham, which is, in my mind, as a casual fan, the same story. Leeds, Fulham go hand in hand as level of play, level of experience. Then after that, you've got Sunderland, which I would believe would be their first real competition, based on the way that both teams are playing, or all teams are playing right now at this moment. That would give them any chance of having some kind of threat to where they're going. So then,
That's at the Etihad, so that's at Man City.
right.
So for Sunderland, so whatever Sunderland brought at home at Stadium Light against Arsenal could be shook up a little bit, because that place was rocking.
Yeah.
Sunderland was rocking because they knew the opportunity that stood in front of them. So their that support was going crazy. I mean, Man City's going to be it's different playing there. You talk about the spectacle of playing there. It's going to equalize a lot of, I think, that emotion. Now, who knows? Sunderland may have that chip.
Yeah.
Sunderland's definitely got the swagger right now and the confidence to go in there and challenge them.
Because they could be coming off 3 straight wins after that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think that's, like you said, that could be their first match in league play that in the next, 5 games that they are actually challenged and pushed.
Right. So then I wanted to take it on the other side of things, because I think that the discussion needs to be, league-wide, or as we're talking about these teams, let's look at who Arsenal has coming up. All right. They're sitting at top of the table right now. They have Tottenham.
Should be
a W. I'm just kidding.
I mean,
Who knows, man? Who knows? Where is it? It's at Arsenal. It's okay. It's at the Etihad. Yeah. So I don't know. We've played better. We played better on the road this year.
I think that it's a decent matchup. I could see, in the same vein as watching Sunderland draw against Arsenal, I could see Tottenham giving them a draw.
It's up there. It's a big rivalry. I mean, it's a derby.
Derby.
So that's it's going to be a very It's going to be, Spurs want to beat Arsenal more than anybody, and I think vice versa. It's just one of those North London derbies. Okay, it's a big deal, but yeah, continue with the schedule after that.
Chelsea is next after that.
At Chelsea.
So, again, another top-tier team that's playing well. I mean, obviously they played Wolves, but they looked like they were dominating every week. I've said so far, one thing that I haven't wavered on is my belief in Chelsea, regardless of whether or not I like the team. I feel like they have an identity and they know what they're going for. They're playing well as a team. I feel like they have the support of their manager and they believe in what the philosophy of what their manager is trying to push for them. I believe that Chelsea could also be a real threat to them in some way or another. And then after that, you've got Brentford and Villa. So, some teams that don't necessarily strike you as big threats. But the 2 upcoming weeks, my thought was, by the time we get to the month of December, are we looking at a new team that's at the top of the table? What do y'all think? Is it Man City or Arsenal who sits at number 1 by the time we get to December?
I don't know. I think a lot depends on their Champions League play too, because Arsenal usually have some injuries that will hinder them, and most of the time it's been Saka every year that he's gotten hurt, and that's taken them down. Their scoring threat really takes a nosedive when he's out, and they've got to play Bayern in London, so that's going to be a very physical game. But I see Man City going to the top very quickly. I think by the end of December, for sure, I think they'll be first, top of the table.
Rich, what do you think?
I agree. I don't see who's stopping. They might draw. Sunderland may draw them, but I still think, at best, I think Sunderland may draw them. But I think Man City could not lose again for a couple weeks.
Yeah, and you
assuming everybody stays healthy.
Chelsea could take down Arsenal. Tottenham could too. That's the parity of this league, is anybody can beat anybody, and it depends on the day. And I think Arsenal are great. They're a great team, heavily defensive team. Don't let people score, but Sunderland proved, hey, if we can do it, anybody can do it. And I think you're going to find a bunch of managers looking at that game, going, all right, what can we do to capitalize on what Sunderland did? And with Thomas Frank being over Tottenham, I think he could be pinpointing some things and saying, hey, we're going to do this. And Tottenham could come in there and take 3 points from them.
Look, I'm just some American guy who just got into this sport and really enjoys watching it, so I don't know a whole lot, okay? I'm going to just preface this statement with that. I just like watching the sport. I enjoy it. And so at some point, you have to throw statistics out the window and go based on the feeling of what's going on, all right? And as a casual fan of the sport who's trying their best to get into it and watching the storylines unfold, Arsenal feels as though they are, even though they're at the top of the table, and they by all stretches of the imagination should be unbeatable, there seems to be something within their psyche that feels like it's not an if but a when will we crumble. And I don't know what that is. I don't know why that is. You can come at me in the comments if you think I'm an idiot, and I'll gladly take that and say, yes, I am an idiot. But I enjoy good storylines. On the other hand, when I watch Man City, there is not a single hitch in their step right now that shows me otherwise, that they should dominate. They carry themselves with this swagger of, we've been here before, we've done this before, we don't have anything to lose, we've got the best player in the league. As long as everybody else plays their part and nobody gets hurt, we'll be fine.
Yeah, I think you're onto something, because the pressure is not on City right now.
No.
The pressure is on Arsenal to stay where they are. And the last
so
3
close.
or 4 years they have finished second.
So close.
They are it's shaping up. It's kind of looking like, hey, we're not the world beaters that we thought we are. Are we incredibly good? Absolutely. But I think the pressure is going to get to them of, can we keep this lead over City? And I think City has that ability. When you see them in your rearview mirror, you start thinking about them more.
Yeah.
And I think that's going to creep into Arsenal's mindset. And they're going to say, obviously, hey, we're taking this one game at a time, but you got City 4 points behind you right now. I mean, it's kind of like when Michael Jordan was playing. If you when he was on the court, you knew you were probably going to lose. I mean,
it's like the boogeyman, you know.
Yeah.
Here comes the boogeyman. Then Man City is definitely the boogeyman.
They are definitely the boogeyman.
And so, you know, I think that as we move in and talk about some other teams, just kind of pivoting a little bit, we've talked a lot about the top of the table. I wanted to dive in just real quick on some of these lower level teams. We'll start with Forest. Forest beat Leeds 3-1, and you know, third manager this year, by all stretches of the imagination, should be the dumpster fire of the league. But under this new management of Sean Dyche, whatever he's doing seems to be working, at least for right now. And of all the teams that are at the bottom of the table, they seem to be the ones that I have the most hope in. Does that seem like a valid statement, or is that absolute crazy talk? What do y'all think?
For me, I'm thinking the opposite. I think West Ham have the most that they can do. I mean, you got Jared Bowen, who is just insane. I think if he was on a Big Six club, he would be talked about every week.
Yeah.
But I think West Ham are definitely going to be out of the bottom three in the next couple of weeks. I can't see them staying. I can see Leeds and Burnley joining Wolves back in the bottom three very soon.
That's kind of what I was thinking. West Ham and Nottingham's going to move up. I think Forest is, like you said, they're on the way up. They drew United, and they got that win against Leeds. They're going to they're playing Liverpool next. Where is that one? I don't know where that one is.
Oh, I'll have to look it up.
But I kind of
think it's at Liverpool.
Let's see.
But
it's at Liverpool. It is. So that's I don't know. But anyway, I think Burnley and Leeds are going to start to kind of fall the way back. You know, they haven't. Not a whole lot to show the last few weeks, but West Ham, looks like they're improving. They won 2 straight. Nottingham Forest, you know, they drew and won, so they're definitely moving up. So I can kind of see Leeds and Burnley falling back down.
Yep.
Yeah, it seems as though these bottom teams are continuing to find ways to shake themselves up back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. It'll be interesting to see how it ends up toward the end. And once we can find some consistency, I feel like we're finally in the point in the season where we're seeing what the overarching narratives are, what the vibes of the teams are, and it just seems like teams like Forest and West Ham, they just needed a little extra time to figure out what their identity are. You know, I don't know why. I think it's because Kinnear across the hall here has an affinity for Forest and kind of got me in on Forest, and so I have this strange belief in them that they can turn things around. Dyche, what I've realized with their style of play is that he's a defensive-minded coach. They're not going to outscore you crazy amounts. He's going to lock in that defense and you know, pack the box out and allow the other team to just push and push and push, and they're just going to stand their ground, which seems to be working because that's what they've done the past 2 matches. So any other thoughts on bottom of the table for you guys?
So going back to Forest and West Ham, one thing that I think is going to happen is that January window. They have better finances than your Burnleys and Wolves, I think. I mean, Wolves have been up for a while, but I think West Ham and Forest are going to say, yeah, we have spotted these weaknesses, and we're going to find some players to come in and help us improve. And, you know, Wolves, can they do that? Absolutely. Is it going to change their outlook? Probably not. I don't see Wolves and definitely Leeds is not going to be coming in spending $50 million on guys in the January window. But I think that's going to be a big tell is are Forest and West Ham committed to winning this season and not being relegated? Obviously, I think so. But how much are they going to spend in that January window to get out of these places?
I think if you look at the upcoming schedules as well for just Forest and West Ham specifically, I'm just looking at Forest right now. Obviously, they have to play Liverpool, which that's a toss-up right now. Both teams kind of trying to figure out where they stand, how it looks. If Forest gives Liverpool a run for their money and even draw, to me, that's a win for them that they're on the right track They're doing
At
the right
Anfield.
thing at Anfield. That's a huge win. Then you get that momentum rolling, and they play Brighton the week after. Who knows? Brighton can, they'll play great against most teams, but it almost seems like they play to the level of the team that they're playing most times. So what version of Brighton are we going to get? And then after that, you've got Wolves. So, not to hate on a team like Palace or Newcastle, which I'm a fan of Palace, so I'll say it. You could very well see, in the best scenario, where Forest is above Palace by the time we get to December, or a Newcastle, with those teams that we expect to be mid-table could drop down to lower on the table as we go. And so it'll be interesting to see how it all shakes out. Any other thoughts on bottom of the table teams or anything that we didn't hit before we jump into our final segment?
Yeah, I think we're going to – it's not going to continue the trend of the first three clubs up from championship, because Sunderland's not going down this year. But it's going to be, I think, Leeds and Burnley and Wolves are done.
Yeah. I'd like to point out, I don't know why I'm doing this, West Ham and Nottingham Forest. So they're 18-19. So they're in relegation zone, 10 points and 9 points. And Newcastle's at 12 points. So, you're a weekend away, a bad weekend away, or a couple weekends. It's going to take more than that. But just for our boy Connor, like Newcastle, man.
He did not like that text that I sent about Sunderland.
No, he did not. That's crazy, though. It's just crazy. It's pretty tight down there at the bottom, so who knows? So Newcastle has 12. The 13, we'll say from 14 down is 12, 11, 11, 10, 10, 9, and 2. And that's the bottom.
Yeah.
So besides Wolves with 2, the bottom, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 are within 3 points.
All right, so
let's
do this then, and then we'll jump into the last segment just for fun, just to see how right or wrong we are. Right now on November 10th, 2025, so obviously we all believe it's Wolves who's getting relegated.
Yes.
Who are your other two teams that get relegated if you had to make the decision right now today? You want me to go first so y'all have time to think?
I've already said mine. Leeds and Burnley are going down. Leeds, we're doing pretty well. I think they've I don't want to say they've been figured out, but people are seeing their weaknesses, and I can see them not having the funds to help a lot in that window. So I could see Leeds definitely falling.
Because they don't make them. You're saying they don't make the move at the transfer or at the in the January deadline.
I don't think they have the funds to make a lot of moves in that window. So I see them going down, and Burnley obviously as well.
All right. What about you, Ridge? Who do you think?
Yeah, I guess I'd say the same thing. Maybe a Fulham can creep down there. I'm seeing West Ham go up. I guess I'm seeing Forest go up for now. I'm not going to say Newcastle. I think Newcastle will figure it out eventually. They've got a great manager, and they got good players. But, yeah, I guess I would say Burnley and Leeds. Sorry, J.J. Watt, but I think Burnley's going down.
My guess would be Burnley for sure, because every time I think about them, I don't feel like they've scored at all. I feel like they get shut out almost every time that they play. And so that, on top of what you guys have said, kind of solidified it for me. They're not going to be able to make a big move. They don't have the funds to make the big move. So they're either going to have to piecemeal this thing together and fight and scrap their way out of the bottom. But it just seems like an uphill battle for the rest of them. And so I'll say them, and then I'll say Fulham as well. So I'll say Wolves, Fulham, and Burnley. So as we close out, we've got one more segment, hot or cold. We're going to give some takes and rapid fire, give off some takes. And we'll let you good people in the comments decide whether or not they are hot or cold takes. And we'll let Patrick start it off. Patrick, what is your take?
Ooh, here we go. I wanted to do a Liverpool one, but since I'm the Liverpool guy, I'm not going to go there. I'm going to let y'all have those. My take is Bournemouth finish top 5.
Okay. What do you think, Rich? Is that a hot take or cold take?
I think that's extremely hot. I don't know. I just feel like they're not playing as good as they were earlier in the year.
I think every team.
Everybody ebbs and flows.
But. Yeah, I think that they can keep going. If you look at their upcoming fixtures, they've got Bournemouth as playing West Ham, Sunderland, which you never know, Everton, and then Chelsea. So Bournemouth have firepower that can take over and score them some goals. So I think that they have the ability to. I think it also depends on how's their defense going to hold out. Can they stop clubs from scoring?
I think it's a hot take, but I agree with you. I think that they are a great team that has great team chemistry. They play well together. Again, identity is everything to me. They know who they are. They have the underdog mentality, and I feel like before we know it, they will be sitting at top 5. So I agree with you. Hot take, but a valid take. All right, here's mine. I do not believe. My take is that, how should I say this? Mo Salah will not score more than 15 goals this season. Hot or cold take?
Cold. I'm seeing it. I think you're right. I think 15 may be generous. I don't know. I mean, whatever. He's still a great player with so much ability and good players around him. But I don't know. Does he look different this year to you?
Yeah, he's not. I think he's lost a step speed-wise.
Yeah, maybe a bit.
And he's not able to use his speed to get around guys anymore. And he's dispossessing a lot. He can't get into the box right now. So I think that's a hot take, only because of history. And since he's been at Liverpool, he's at least scored 20 goals every season.
What was last year?
I'd have to look it up, but it was 30s.
Yeah, and led in assists as well, or like really close up top in assists as well.
Yeah.
He doesn't seem like the same player that I knew him to be as a new fan coming into the sport.
34 goals last season.
Yeah. Like, did you have first pick in our draft? Or?
I had first pick, and everybody
We all said
you made the right pick
Salah.
by choosing Salah. And so I expected him to be dominant, and every time I watched him or do watch him, he seems like a non-factor on the field. Now, does that 15 feels like a good borderline spot?
It's debatable.
I think that he can get there, but I don't think that he will. I think that as each match stacks up on him, from what I understand, last year was almost the apex of his career. And once you reach the mountaintop, it's a lot harder to go higher than that. And so I see this as a turning point in his career. I hope that it's not. I hope that he continues to be one of the better players in the league. But I do know that he was born in 1992. That makes him, 33 years old? That's old for this league.
It is.
And time is not on your side once you hit that mark. You lose a pep in your step once you get to that age in the most competitive soccer league in the world. So
I kind of want to throw something in there. Here's a take. Salah plays for the Saudi league next season.
Ooh, okay. Give me. I don't know enough about this, so tell me your reasoning.
Well,
why not?
He's a Muslim, so he is the biggest star for the Saudi league, I think, and they have tried to get him for several.
He's on the back end of his career.
Yeah.
It's like what Suarez did, and Messi. They're kind of.
So they like that his religious factor. I think that is going to be something that attracts people to their league, and he's like you said, the back end of his career. I think he could be playing for them, and if they pay $100 million for Mo Salah, Liverpool, I don't think would turn that down right now.
Maybe.
Well, that seems to be the thing with Salah for me of why another reason why I don't think that he scores or 15 is because it seems as though with all these new faces that they've got in, these new people that they've brought into the team, he can't find his place to fit in. I feel like last year, from what you guys told me, he was a key cog in the wheel.
Absolutely.
And now he just seems almost like we've talked about a lot this episode. He's not the guy anymore. He's just a guy. And I think that he thrives in that environment as the guy. So I don't think that your take is really that high. I could see it happening. But I think it's almost like a if-then.
Yep.
If he doesn't score more than 15 this year, he ends up on another team next year in a different league. So I think that's great.
By the way, I know that Luis Suarez and Messi don't play for a solid. I know they play for Miami, which who knows? Mo Salah could be wearing that hot pink next year.
Miami does have a DP slot open this season.
Yeah, and then my other thing I was going to ask a question. So, which is more true? Do you think Liverpool goes as Mo Salah goes, or do you think Mo Salah goes as Liverpool goes? So, if Liverpool, if they start picking up are his numbers going to jump, or is that waiting on Mo Salah to be?
So, I was kind of thinking about that. If you look at Liverpool's upcoming fixtures in Premier League play, they have the lower table clubs coming up. So I think this is a window for Liverpool to find form and really start figuring out their roles. I wanted to say something about what you said, Jake. The position that they're in is Mo the guy anymore, and you set the Premier League transfer record twice this offseason by Verts and Isak. So, should he be the guy right now with spending almost $250 million on two players? Probably not. But he's been the star of Liverpool for 8 seasons now. So, does he have the ability to be the guy? Absolutely. Should he buy the facts of what they did this offseason? Probably not.
Yeah, I feel like he seems like a difference maker, but when he's not in that position, there's some weird psychological things going on where he's like, I don't know. There just seems to be something off about his dynamic with Liverpool. So that's why I feel like your take is actually kind of, I could see it happening. So Ridge, you got some quick hitters for us of cold or bold takes?
You guys, I'm gonna give you a take, and you guys tell me if this is hot, cold, or we'll just say lukewarm.
Okay.
So lukewarm is debatable, but you could argue either way. Okay. I guess number one. Let me start with this one. Manchester United's title hopes are over for this season.
I think so. Yeah, that's cold.
So that's cold.
Yeah.
Cold.
That's the example. Okay.
Okay, yeah.
That's what I'm kind of saying. All right. Arsenal has peaked too early.
Arsenal has peaked.
So effectively, they're going to plateau eventually.
I kind of
lukewarm.
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 Yeah. That's not overstated by anything.
Okay. So this Chelsea could eventually overtake Arsenal, in the rankings. Chelsea passes Arsenal.
Cold.
Lukewarm for me.
You say
You
lukewarm?
think that's happening?
I
Jake?
say cold. I feel like I don't know why. I have this weird belief in Chelsea. I like the way that they play, and that doesn't mean much as a casual fan who knows nothing about the sport. But when you said it, it felt right. So I'm going with my heart there.
Yeah, could I see it happening? Absolutely. Could I see Arsenal staying above them? For sure.
Okay. Erling Haaland is overrated.
Oh, that is a bold take.
Hot.
Boiling
Hot take.
En fuego.
Erling Haaland is only as good because he plays for Man City.
Wait, say that one again.
So Erling Haaland is Erling Haaland because he plays for Man City. So other way, if he didn't have that color on, if he didn't play for Man City, he wouldn't carry the like Ohtani playing for the Dodgers, which
I think that's a hot take. I think he would be a
you knew
superstar.
where he was.
Yeah, he's what 6'6", 200 pounds. He can
6'7" on a good day.
Yeah.
with his cleats on.
I think it's a hot take as well.
Yeah.
I think he's
I
a
agree.
great player.
I agree. Pep is deliberately letting Arsenal lead to let them lull them to sleep and then eventually look up by Christmas. And
I think that's a lukewarm because I could see Pep. I don't see Pep being worried right now. No, I think
he's chilling.
He's just like we're rolling right now. So what is there to worry about?
I'm gonna say it's not even a temperature. It's just dry. He's not. Pep to me doesn't care. He's operating on his own wavelength, and he's like, Man City, we got this rolling. We're gonna keep it going.
He's not worried about Arsenal.
Yeah, and if it doesn't work out here, I'll just go do whatever wherever because I think he is. And
I think he's done after City.
You think so? Yeah. How old is he? Probably 50, 55.
He's probably in that. But he was at Barcelona and PSG and Bayern.
Yeah.
I take that back. He might not have been at PSG. So let's edit that out if I am.
Fact check. Liverpool are not serious title contenders anymore. Liverpool
Cold.
are not title contenders.
I think it's cold.
Cold. I think that they're top 5 material. I don't think that they're title contenders. I think that they can. I could see them ending up at 3 or 4. I do not see them any higher than that. So I think that's a cold take.
Yeah, I just looked at it. I was wrong. It's not PSG. It's just Bayern and Barcelona and City. I'm sorry.
It's okay. All right, here we go. Sunderland might win the league.
Lukewarm.
I think that's a hot take.
Still hot.
I think that's not happening.
I love chaos, so I'm going to say.
I don't. Never know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Are they going to beat City?
They could.
Who knows? I don't know. Good question. That's why we're doing this. Okay. Liverpool's problem is more psychological than tactical.
I think so. Yeah, I think that's a cold take.
Cold take.
Yeah, they have all the pieces. Every time I talk about them, it's like they should, by the stat sheet, be the team.
Yeah, I don't think it's tactics by any means. I think it's all how they are playing together.
Okay. Let me make sure. Let's go with one more. See if I can find us a good one. West Ham and Nottingham Forest finished in the top 10.
Ooh.
I think that's hot.
Hot.
That's a hot
Not
take.
happening.
I don't think it's going to happen. I think they'll finish.
Like, it could be 9-10
I think they could be around 12.
at best.
Yeah. I think the old saying of you can't win the league in this first half, but you can definitely lose it, goes into my mind right now. I think they've lost too many points already to finish top 10.
Yeah, I say it's hot. I could see them 11, 12, like you said, but top 10 is pushing it. They've gotten themselves behind the 8 ball a little too early, or a little too late in the game. They're making progress, like we've talked about, but I definitely see them not top 10. So, all right. Well, I think that was a great segment. I love that. We need to do that more often. That was fun. So that's going to wrap it up for this episode of Premier Period. Make sure that you subscribe, like this video, comment. If you do, we'll shout you out on the next episode. Shout out to all the people in last week's episode who debated on whether or not it should be is Arsenal or are Arsenal. So maybe you can comment that as well if you have any other grammar takes or anything like that. We'll take all kinds of suggestions and input, bake the algorithm, put whatever you want to in the comments. As long as it doesn't incriminate us, we'll be fine. That'll do it for this week's episode of Premier Period. We'll see you guys next time.
See you.